Hello, fellow professor and colleagues. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Pablo Cesar Pacheco, and my group partner is Catherine Tipantunya. We're going to explain the rule of I before E except after C. We learned this as a rhyme. I before E except after C. Don't forget, I before E except after C. We learned this as a poem which help us memorize the rule. In this example that we have here, in the word receive, we have E and I because it comes after C. But in the second example, we have friend, which also have I and E, but it cannot be E and I because it doesn't have a C at the beginning or before. So example 1 and 2, it applies the rule. But in the third example that we have the word neighbor. If we see it has E and I, but it doesn't have a C. But it doesn't apply the rule because neighbor is sounding like an A. Okay? So neighbor is the same as weight or height. It doesn't apply this rule. This is one of the exceptions of this rule. So right here we can see that because it doesn't make the same sounds as friend or receive, the rule doesn't apply, which is something that in English we have many rule exceptions. Okay? So right now we can see in neighbor, we can see the exception on weight. And yeah, so we have many exceptions in this rule. As a summary, we can say the next thing. I before E except after C, or word sounded as A, as in neighbor, we saw in examples, and weight. Also, unless the C is part of a SH sound, like in glacier. Also, if it appears in comparative and superlative words, like fancier. It also, as an exception, is when vowels are sounded as E, such as C's, or I, as in height. Okay? Also, when in ing inflections ending in E, as in queuing. Or also in compound sound, as in albeit. Some other examples of exceptions to this rule are science and weird. Thank you.
Hello everyone, well I'm going to explain you a little more I before E. This famous rule is in the form of a little poem that will help you easily remember it. It goes I before E except after C when we're sound as A as in neighbor and way. And so if you're rather uncertain about whether to use EI or IE, you just use IE, unless it comes after the letter C or it is pronounced A. In that case, you just use EI. It is simple as that. Examples of the includes achieve, believe, feel, and receive. Now, what you may notice about receive in particular is that it has EI, not IE. So, how does it follow the rule? Well, it turns out the E in A receive comes directly after a C, and the rule states that if it comes after a C, it should be EI. And so it does follow this rule. Another example to this rule is a beige, the color beige. Again, it has EI. The reason that it has that usually follow the rules is because the EI is pronounced like A, it's beach, it's not beach or nothing else, it's beach. However, one another thing to know that as with any rule, there will be words that following in words that don't follow it. Some words are exceptions. They will break the rules. Take a look at the word sees. For example, not only does it not have E before E, it has E before A, and E A also doesn't direct follow C, and C is not pronounced says. This word breaks the rule. Another words that break the rules include weird, as mentioned earlier, neither, and counterfeit. So make sure you know and take note of this and remember the spellings when they pop up.
Thing is, a place of chiefs. Thing is,